Friday morning, you're standing in the grocery aisle holding a bag of coffee. The tag says $9.72 a pound, an all-time record. Watch this. Now look at the other screen. The price coffee beans sell for on the world market, the wholesale price has been falling 6 months straight. So the bean is getting cheaper, and your cup keeps setting records. Same month, opposite directions. How does that even happen? Everybody's got an answer. Tariffs. China, Canada, stealing our coffee. Almost none of it survives a fact check. 6 layers, bottom to top, every number from federal data. By the end, you'll know exactly where your $5 goes. I'm dropping these daily right now. Subscribe, and tomorrow's math finds you. And here's the thing, I'm Frank. Before we build your cup up from the bottom, let's clear out the loud, scary stories, because 4 of the 5 most shared ones fall apart the second you check them. So start with the big one. They tell you a 50% tariff on Brazil is why coffee exploded. And yeah, that tariff was real. Brazil grows about a third of America's coffee, so it sounds airtight. But here's what they leave out. That tariff got pulled in November. Coffee was officially carved out of the tariffs entirely, so at the exact moment your price hit a record, the tariff on coffee was 0. Now the next story, they say Brazil cut America off, stopped shipping coffee to punish us. That's backwards. Brazil never banned a thing. What actually happened is American buyers walked away because the tariff made buying Brazilian beans pointless for a few months. Then the tariff vanished and the beans came right back. Nobody got cut off. And then there's Canada. The headline screams Canada swooped in and stole a $1.2 billion coffee deal out from under us. Big number, scary map. Except Canada buys about $855 million of coffee a year, total, for the whole country. A $1.2 billion coffee grab is bigger than everything Canada drinks. The number is impossible. 3 hours with federal trade data and a calculator got me every one of these numbers. They're all in the description. Tap a link if you don't believe me. That's the whole point. So here's another one making the rounds. China built a $285 million coffee hub in Brazil to lock up the supply. The money is real. The coffee part is not. Because that terminal is a soybean and grain port. The official write-up lists soybeans, corn, sugar. Coffee isn't even mentioned. Somebody took a real soybean deal and slapped the word coffee on it. And the wildest one. Ethiopia and Brazil supposedly teamed up to sell coffee in Chinese yuan, ditching the dollar, blowing up the whole system. There is no such deal. Coffee still trades in American dollars. On the same exchange it always has. The real Ethiopia-Brazil agreement was about farming technology, not money. Somebody stitched 3 unrelated things into one fake bombshell. So let's add it up. Tariff, gone since November. Export ban never happened. Canada deal, mathematically impossible. China hub, soybeans. Currency war invented. Every loud, angry story about your coffee is either already over or just made up, which leaves one annoying question still sitting there. If it's not tariffs, not China, not Canada, then why did you pay $9.72? The real answer is boring, and it's hiding in plain sight, right on your receipt. We'll get to it. So let's build your cup from the bottom up. Layer 1, the raw bean, the actual coffee before anyone touches it. On the world market, the price of Arabica beans peaked last November, about $4.10 a pound. And since that peak, it's dropped 18%. The bean is in a sale, not a spike. And this is the part nobody's showing you. Watch these 2 lines, the wholesale bean down 18%, your store price up 7% to a record, same 6 months. So think about what that means. If the thing they blame, a bean shortage driving prices up, were really happening, the wholesale price would be climbing too. It's not. It's falling. That's the whole trick in one picture. They point at the bean and yell shortage, but the bean got cheaper. The crisis they're selling you ended months ago at the source. Let me make the bean even smaller for you, because here's how little of it is actually inside your cup. A single shot of espresso uses about a quarter's worth of beans. 25 cents. That's it. The coffee inside your $5 latte costs about the price of a gumball. So put those 2 facts side by side. The bean is 25 cents of a $5 cup. And that 25-cent bean is getting cheaper, not more expensive. Which means the bean simply cannot be the reason your coffee hit a record. You can't blame a quarter that's dropping in price for a $5 cup that keeps climbing. And honestly, that's the moment the whole news cycle falls apart. Every dramatic story was about the bean. And the bean is a rounding error that's currently on sale. So if it's not the bean, the money has to be going somewhere else, somewhere between the farm and your hand. $4.75 of somewhere. This is the math your grocery store doesn't show you on the shelf tag. The tag shows one number. It never shows you what's stacked inside it. And once you see the stack, you can't unsee it. You'll look at every coffee price for the rest of your life and know exactly which layer just went up. Don't take my word for any of this. Open the federal price link under this video. Pull the coffee number yourself. It's the same one I'm reading off right now. Now, in fairness, let's give the scary side its one real point because there was a genuine shock. It just isn't the one they're still selling. Back in 2024, Brazil got hit with a bad drought and a surprise frost right when the coffee flowers were forming. That damaged the crop. That part is completely true.
And it did exactly what you'd expect. It pushed wholesale prices up hard through 2025. For a while, the shortage story was the real story.
But here's what the panic videos quietly skip. That was 2 years ago. And this year's global harvest didn't shrink. It set an all-time record. The most coffee ever grown. Vietnam bounced back. Other countries filled the gap. So the world is swimming in more coffee than it has ever had, which is the boring, unsexy reason the wholesale price is falling right now. So the weather story is real and it's in the rearview mirror. The shock hit. The crop recovered. The bean came back down. Blaming today's record on a 2-year-old frost is like blaming last winter for today's gas bill. And that gap between what already happened and what they're still shouting is exactly where the fear lives. The drought ended. The headline didn't, because a recovered harvest doesn't get clicks. A frozen Brazilian mountain and a scary red map does. The story outlived the facts because the story pays better. So scratch weather off your list too, at least for this year's price. The beans are here. There are more of them than ever, and they're cheaper than they were. Which brings us back to the same stubborn question. Now with almost every suspect cleared, the bean's cheap, the harvest's huge. So what's left holding your price at a record? Quick pause. What are you actually paying for coffee right now? Where you live? Drop the number below. The most upvoted one becomes tomorrow's breakdown. Subscribe. I'm running these daily right now. Now, before we get to the real answer, there's one more thing the doom channels love. The climate. And this one isn't fake. It's just on the wrong calendar. It's true, the planet is slowly squeezing the land where coffee can grow. About 8% of prime coffee land is already too hot. Over the next 25 years, it gets worse. That's a real, serious problem. But notice the timeline. That's a 20-year story. It is not why your Tuesday bag jumped to $9.72. Slow climate change can't explain a sudden price that's outrunning a falling bean. So that's the last suspect, gone. So here's where the money actually is. And it's the least dramatic place imaginable. To find it, you stop following the bean and you start following the cup. Picture that $5 latte one more time. The beans, the milk, the cup, the lid, the cardboard sleeve, add all the physical stuff up and it's about 90 cents. Which means $4.10 of your $5 cup is not coffee at all. It's not a thing you can hold. So what is it? It's people. It's the building. It's everything that happens between a bean nobody can drink and a cup you actually can. And that's the part that's been quietly getting more expensive every single year. Start with the biggest slice, labor. The person who took your order, pulled your shot, steamed the milk, wiped the counter. In a coffee shop, wages eat up to 1/3 of every dollar you hand over. And that's the slice that's exploded. Not the bean. Wages at the counter have climbed hard the last few years. Every dollar an hour more for the barista shows up as cents more in your cup. Then comes rent. That cozy corner shop sits on real estate that costs more every lease. The landlord doesn't care what coffee beans cost in Brazil. He cares what the corner is worth, and it's worth more. So watch the whole tower go up, beans at the bottom, a quarter, then milk and cup, then roasting, then trucking, then rent and labor, the tallest brick of all sitting right on top. And here's the kicker. Every brick above the bean is a person's wage or a piece of American real estate. None of it is imported. None of it has anything to do with Brazil or China or a tariff. So when your cup goes up, it's almost never the coffee going up. It's the cost of the hands in the room it takes to hand it to you. The coffee is the cheapest thing in the whole transaction. And the grocery bag works the same way. Roasting plants run on labor and power. Bags and foil cost more. Trucks cost more to run. The bean inside might be cheaper, but everything wrapped around it is pricier. Which is why a bag can hit a record even while the bean inside it is on sale. You're not paying more for coffee. You're paying more to have it roasted, bagged, shipped, and shelved in your town. Now think about who that quietly hammers. The person on a fixed income counting dollars a week at the kitchen table. To them, a jar creeping up isn't a headline. It's one more thing that used to fit and doesn't. And And nobody's coming on the news to explain that the reason is your own town's rising rent and wages. Because your barista got a raise is not a villain you can put on a thumbnail. So they reach for Brazil, for China, for a map with red arrows. A faraway enemy is a better story than the dull truth that everything local costs more to run. But the dull truth is the one that actually helps you, because once you know it's the cup and not the bean, you stop waiting for a tariff to get repealed and save you. It already got repealed. Nothing changed. Remember that $9.72 on the shelf back at the start? Now you know what it's really made of. 25 cents of bean and a whole tower of American wages and rent stacked on top. The bean got cheaper, the cup got more people, pricier rooms, and a fatter markup. That gap, falling bean, rising cup, isn't a mystery anymore. It's just the cost of handing it to you, going up. And that's the whole con, really. They sold you a global conspiracy. The real story was your own grocery store's rent, surface story versus real story, and the real one was boring the entire time. So let's bring it home. If you remember nothing else from this, remember 3 numbers. They're all from federal data, and they're all in the description. Number 1, $9.72 a pound. That's the record price of ground coffee at the store right now. The highest it has ever been. Number 2, 18%. That's how far the wholesale bean has fallen from its peak. While your cup was setting that record, the 2 numbers are moving in opposite directions. Number 3, a quarter. About 25 cents of beans in a shot of espresso, the cheapest thing in your $5 cup. And the one thing they keep telling you to be scared of? Put those 3 together and the whole panic collapses. A record price, a falling bean, a cup that's almost entirely labor and rent. The scary part was never the coffee. So the next time a video screams China or Canada or a 50% tariff, do one thing first. Ask who profits from you being scared. Fear gets the click. The boring answer gets the truth, because the boring answer almost always wins. It wasn't a conspiracy. It wasn't a currency war. It was the rent on the corner and the wage at the counter, doing what they do every year. If this saved you from one panic headline, like it, and drop your coffee price in the comments. Subscribe. The next number comes from you, and I'm running these daily right now. And if you actually want to pay less, here's the only lever that works. It was never the bean. It's the building, the labor, the cup handed across a counter. Make it at home and you delete almost the entire tower. No barista wage, no corner rent, no markup. That same cup drops from $5 to about 40 cents. The bean barely moved. Everything around it did. That's the real cost breakdown nobody put in a thumbnail. Not because it's secret, because it doesn't scare you. It just tells you the truth. The surface story is a global coffee war. The real story is rent. And once you can tell the 2 apart, no headline gets to pick your blood pressure for you again. I'm Frank. The bean's a quarter, the rest is everybody's hand in the cup. Math doesn't negotiate. Don't try.